Well, good day, good day. Welcome to another episode of Rob Report. I'm your host, Robert Bob TV Brown. How you doing today? Well, I got a little issue going on right now. YouTube has banned me from live streaming. That's right. No reason at all. They claim that I did a copyright on something. They don't tell me what the copyright is, but they said I did a copyright. It's a copyright strikes, and this is the first strike, and they banned me from doing a live stream. Now, you know me, I'm not a live streamer anyway, but I'm trying to get better at it. I really want to go live right now, but they won't let me. So I just uploaded a video to YouTube explaining the ban. But if you ever want to still connect with me, I'm on Facebook. I have a Facebook group, Bob TV NYC. Just put it in Facebook. You'll see the logo. I'm also on Mob Crush channel, and I'm also on Twitch. So I don't do much with Twitch, but I'm going to start doing it because YouTube got a lot of crap with them. Also, I'm also on going to be on BitChute, but I'm going to upload more on BitChute versus doing live because I don't even know if they do a live. But there's other ways to get this content. BitChute, Mob Crush, Facebook. Facebook will probably do me next because I'm talking about issues that they don't want me to talk about. Both of these companies, Google, Facebook, Twitter, and you name that, are kind of biased. They figure just because they're a private entity that they can silence the voices of individuals. They want to violate your free speech and your freedom of expression, and they shouldn't be able to do that. That's why I believe that they should make these things public services instead of these people wanting to use our ability to build them an audience so they can profit off it with advertising dollars. That's why I would rather pay $15, $20, $30 a month to be on Facebook and YouTube if I can have my freedom of expression. I don't want them trying to advertise on my show. I don't like it. Even when I tried to advertise on the show, they kept demonetizing me. Every video was a demonetization, which means I'm not able to make any advertising dollars on this show, which means I'm pretty much unemployed. No money coming in. And the only money that I do get coming in is because of you guys donating to the efforts of Bob TV. And those donations are appreciated. And I pray for a hundredfold return on the gift that you give into this endeavor. But when you're controversial and you're not taking sides and you piss off the left and the right, what can you do? So what we're going to do is get into a topic today that a lot of people are pissed off about. Here we go. Chris Cuomo met with Ice Cube to talk about Ice Cube's vision for America, which is better known as the Contract for Black America. Now, you guys know me. I've been talking about the Contract for Black America for almost 8 years. I've been telling politicians you need to focus on the black community. I've been telling black people you need to stop showing your allegiance to these parties, detach yourself, and force them to show allegiance to you first before you show allegiance to them second. I am still of that way. I am never going to change. I think it is foolish for the black community to show allegiance to people who have not shown allegiance to them in over 40 years, 50 years, or any years. What do you mean by that? When I mean allegiance, I mean when you overwhelmingly are the backbone of a party, especially your women, let alone women. They always say this thing that women are the backbone of this party, women are the backbone of that party, but they never look at the men. Sure, the women vote in the high 90s for the black community. Black women vote in the high 90s, but you can't neglect the men. We vote in the high 90s too, but we're not even considered. But yet when it comes to the other party and the other party's mission to pull black support from the opposition party, they want to shame the men and say shame on the men for going that way, not understanding it ain't about men or women. It's about black. And if black people are not getting their needs met when you're primarily the lifeblood, I mean, when I say the lifeblood, when you leave that party dies. You are not just the lifeblood. You're the organs. You're the heartbeat. You're everything to that party. And they will do whatever they can to hold on to you. But they don't want to give nothing up. to keep you. So after this whole thing is over, the ultimate goal of these parties is to erase black and bring in others. And for an example, I was telling a friend of mine, if the Latino community start taking a stand, because you got more Latino support for Trump than black support for Trump, but yet you want to look at black people as something that's horrible if they decide they're going to vote for Trump. Baby girl, you better look at them Latinos. You better look at those, people that immigrated from this country, from Africa and things like that. People from Haiti. Not all Haitis. Not all Haitians. Like, I'm just telling you, there's a lot of immigrants that come to this country, and they'll support a Republican over a Democrat. You got to look at the white women that voted for Trump. You got to look at the white men that voted for Trump. You got to look at the seniors that voted for Trump. It was not black people who voted for Trump. So for you to run your mouth on blacks who are one black, if they decide to vote for Trump, you do understand you're not going to get everybody on your side. And if they don't vote for Trump, they got a reason to. If they don't vote for Biden, they have a reason to. Black people need to stop selling themselves out to these parties and start selling themselves in. In other words, as Malcolm X said in the ballot or the bullet, you got to detach yourself from your allegiance to parties if you want to gain some real power. See, once you pull yourself from the allegiance of these parties, they will realize that they can't live without you. And then that's when they will heed to your demand. See, Frederick Douglass said, power without demand concedes nothing. And the reason black people haven't gotten nothing from these two parties, because they never demanded nothing. And one of the biggest ways you could demand is you could say, hey, I'm out. I'm out of here. Just like any wife, any husband, who wife just keep abusing them and taking them for granted. I'm out of here. I'm out. Peace. But remember that episode of Martin Lawrence? When Martin told Gina she could step, Gina started to step. You're like, Gina. That's how they're going to be to you. It's a shame. We have been the lifeblood of one major party. We have carried them over, or barely over, in a race. Even if they lost the race, the reason they came so close to winning is because of us. The reason you barely win is because of us. And the reason you win in a landslide is because of us. Because we are your blood. We are your organs. We are your heart. But for 40 years, you've taken care of everybody else but us. I'm not saying you shouldn't take care of everybody else, but you got to take care of your lifeblood. Which brings me up to this point. Cuomo. Let me see if I can find this video. I don't know why I don't have it up yet. Let's see. Give me a moment. The video should be up. Let me find it. And then we'll talk about this. I hope you guys are doing good today. I mean, I'm a little perturbed. It's a fancy word for upset. Because of what YouTube is doing to me.
Our next guest is Ice Cube.
All right. I'm a little upset on what they have done to me. I'm shocked and amazed that they would do this to me. And I haven't done anything controversial. Not at all. I can be controversial, but I haven't done anything controversial. All right, so let's take a look at this. Give me a moment. All right, so we're going to start at the beginning, and I'm going to be breaking through this. So just hang in there.
Our next guest is Ice Cube. If you know anything about him, and you probably do, you know he started his career rapping in defiance about police presence and the realities of inner city life. And he got political with his songs as well recently during the Trump administration, most recently in 2018. Here's a taste.
Arrest the president. You got the evidence. That is Russian intelligence.
Now we see a shift. Now he wants to work with President Trump. Here's what the president had to say most recently about Black Lives Matter.
The first time I ever heard of Black Lives Matter, I said, that's such a terrible term because it's such a racist term. It's a term that sows division between blacks and whites and everybody else, and it's a very bad term for blacks. But they were very angry. It's a Marxist organization.
With all that going on, and how the president continues to speak about there being no systemic inequality, it's no shock that Ice Cube got some heat for deciding to work with the Trump administration. He wants to deal with it. I want to understand it. So should you. So here is Ice Cube on Prime Time. Thank you for taking the opportunity, brother. I appreciate it.
Now, before we get into this, I want you to know that I do not agree with Trump. No, I'm not a fan of Black Lives Matter, the organization. The mantra, Black Lives Matter, is just that. It is a code word. It is a rally cry for people to understand that we are people of value. People continue to invalue or devalue black people. We have to fight to prove our value. We know we're valuable, but how do we prove it to you? Because we sure ain't going to do it by kissing your behind. That ain't going to happen. And we're determined to let you know that we are just as much as valuable as any white person that came here to this country from England and after that. We're not minorities. Understand this. The reason white is in the majority and black is not is because they came up with all kind of ways to keep us from multiplying. When we were on the plantation, multiply away, there's just more slave labor, there's more money for us. We can breed you like people breed pit bulls and sell them. But when we started to get our freedom, they had to stop that. So they found ways to bring in eugenics, and people like Morgan Singler, Hillary Clinton's favorite icon, to bring in abortion. Now, at that time, I guess there's reasons for you to have an abortion. I'm pro-life, but I do believe that if you're in a position where you're in a life and death situation between your child and you have that choice. I mean, if you want to get an abortion, I mean, I can't take over your rights. I wouldn't want to do that. Spiritually speaking, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't give up my child. I will fight any woman who gets pregnant by me on keeping that child. But it's ultimately her decision. It's not mine. Now, will she have to deal with the consequences later on? Maybe, maybe not. But that's not my choice. But these people use these tactics to all purpose to stop us from breeding because they fear that we will outnumber them. And we were on track to outnumber them. Also, places like Tuskegee Institute and other places like that, they experiment on black men to try to get them to be sterile where they can't have any children. Even when it came to the drugs, even when it came to you joining the military, they would inoculate you with stuff that when you did come back home, you were unable to have children. And that was the reason why, the purpose of that was to keep you from overpopulating. You are not a minority, black people. You are a majority. You may be the second in majority, but you are a majority. You're not second-class citizen, you're first-class citizen. You built this country. They may have had the design to build it or the infrastructure to build it, but you built it. You put the sweat, the tears, the bloods, the dying, them throwing your babies to alligators, them separating the mommy and daddy, separating the brothers and sisters, them impregnating your little sister, them breeding your little sister at a young age so she can have decades worth of having children for the slave man. I can go on and on and on. And when you're tired, when they're tired of you, they'll shoot you in the head. They'll have you dig your own ditch, have you stand in the middle of your ditch, shoot you in the head, and bury you. Talking about cold. You have every right to demand true equal rights in this country. And when I mean, I'm not talking about civil rights. Civil rights and equal rights are not the same thing. I'm talking about true equal rights. When I mean true equal rights, I mean whatever you got, I should have it in equality. You got a certain amount of wealth per household, I should have the same amount of wealth per household. You have the same access to this and the same access to that, I should have it too. You're no different from me. We built this together. Now, the Proud Boys try to use that as a recruiting tool, but it's a little more to that than what they're talking about. But let's get on Ice Cube and Chris Cuomo, because he said that Ice Cube started off singing against the president, and then he changed his tune. What make you think he changed his tune about President Trump? It's like the people who think I like Trump just because I don't favor Biden as president. They assume I like Trump. I don't favor neither one of these people, and I don't want neither one of them to be the president. And I don't care whether you like it or not. I'm not gonna be responsible for putting either one of these people in office, because whatever they do, you can't look at me for not voting for them, but I can look at you for voting for them. Well, let me keep going.
Thanks for having me. Chris, your lead-ins are a little misleading.
How so?
Well, the Platinum Plan is not my plan. I came up with the Contract with Black America, and I didn't run to go work with any campaign. Both campaigns contacted me. Both campaigns wanted to talk to me about the Contract with Black America. One campaign said, "We love what you have, but let's really dig into it after the election." And one campaign said, "We love what you have. Do you mind talking to us about it?" And that's what I did. So I didn't run to nobody. And so that was real misleading to me.
Well, I didn't say you ran to anybody. I said that you had taken a pivot.
Well, you said I ran over to the Trump team instead of the Biden team. That's just not true.
Well, but you are working with the Trump team instead of the Biden team, and people are giving you heat for it. What do you say to them?
Well, I'm willing to work with both teams, but I'm just working with whoever is willing to work with me. So the Trump campaign came to me and asked me to explain to them some of the Contract with Black America. That's what I did. I'm not playing no more of these games, these political games. We're not part of a team. We have very broad problems, especially the wealth gap in this country when it comes to Black Americans. So I'm going to whoever's in power, and I'm going to speak to them about our problems specifically. I'm not going there talking about minorities. I'm not going there talking about people of color or diversity or none of that stuff. I'm going there for Black Americans, the ones who are the descendants of slaves.
Now, I'm going to stop there for a second, because a lot of people get upset. And I have a lot of my other Black brothers and sisters that come from other countries, and I love them. And you got to understand this. Because of white supremacy and their strategy to kind of minimize us and to keep us at a certain number, it was harder for us to revolt against the current establishment. You got places in the West Indies and things like that. They had the numbers to revolt against the establishment. I mean, literally take over the country. The country was not that big. It was easy to, I wouldn't say it's easy. It's never easy. But the ability to overtake a country, to revolt and take over a country and make it yours, is a little bit different from here in America. It's a little bit different. We had no weapons. We had nothing. They were able to somehow, and you got to read it and study these things, they were able to take over their country. Now, it's a lot of loud noise in the background because where I'm at, they're actually having a party. So bear with me. You know, it's a friend of mine's birthday, and they're having a party over there. So bear with me. So it was not easy. So in this situation, we believe the first thing that needs to be taken care of concerning Black people is to get equality for blacks here in the United States first. And when I mean equality, I mean starting off with those who came through chattel slavery, those who came through the slave trade, those who came and built this country. We have not gotten our reward. We're promised a reward. They had started to make preparation for the reward. Then after grant, they just threw it out. We're promised 40 acres and a mule. Do you realize what 40 acres and a mule would have been valued at today? We very rarely have the opportunity to leave an inheritance for our kids, but yet our white counterparts, they can do that for their kids. Well, mine can't do that. Well, you got to look at your history of your family and how they squandered their money. I mean, I got black families that had money and squandered it, gambling and prostituting, you name it. So what you did with your money is one thing. A lot of us didn't have money. And when we started to build an inheritance for our families, white supremacy came in and destroyed it. So getting back to what he's saying, first thing first, we're fighting for equality for American descendants of slaves, or as he said, descendants of American slaves. The reason we have this huge wealth gap in this country is because we never fixed that situation. You got all this free labor, blood, sweat, tears, pain, death, brutal death, off the backs of black people for free, but yet you make millions and millions of dollars, which would equate to billions of dollars today. And then you're going to tell us you got to pull up your bootstraps. Bro, we ain't got no boots or no straps. You took that off us. And we're tired of it. We're not going to take it no more. Now, Cube said, right, we're not playing these political games. You want us to be on somebody's team, and you want us to be on Team Blue. I'm not on Team Blue or Team Red, I'm on Team Black. And it's not that I don't like other colors and other races. I believe that we need to take care of home first, then we can venture off and take care of others. We've been helping everybody out. Black people have been helping out the LGBTQ community. We've been helping out fight for the Asian community. We've been helping out for the fight for Latino rights. We've been helping out for the fight for women's rights. We are always in the forefront of fighting for others. It is time for everybody to come to the forefront and fight for us. And I'm not talking about Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter, the organization has been co-opted by the Democratic Party. And that's when things go south. Malcolm X told us that. Marcus Garvey told us that. The leaders of the Black Panther Party told us that. The moment you let politics and money get involved with your activism, it starts to die off. You cannot play sides in this. Now, I know I'm talking, but I really got to get this stuff off. And I might be up here a little bit. And if you need to go to bed, oh well, I still need to get out because these are going to be in the archives for later on. But Ice Cube is right on this thing.
And that's what I'm going to talk to anybody who's in power with that. So if anybody got a problem with that, it seems like a personal problem.
Well, here's the problem, and it is very personal, as you know, for a lot of people of color, because they'll say, well, why would you pick Trump when he...
This man just told you we ain't worrying about people of color. This ain't their deal. This is a personal thing that black people have to do for themselves. If you want to join us, great. But you ain't leading us and you're not advising us because we've been doing this since day one. We've been helping you. Now it's time for us to help ourselves. So for you, Cuomo, to talk about people of color in this moment in time, yeah, I understand you guys fear Trump. Do you realize, and I'm going to say this, when it comes to revolution, when it comes to seizing power, you have to look death in the eye and still go for it. Because if you run in fear, you're retreating. You can never get nothing retreating. You got to press forward. Even in the valley of the shadow of death, you got to press forward. So I don't care. People talking about, oh, Trump gonna kill us and all that kind of stuff. Look, people are killing us every day. People was killing us before Trump. People was killing us with Obama in office. With Obama as president, with two black attorney generals, and they still didn't do nothing for us. They still did not do harsh things to change the criminal laws. So don't even give me that. Don't give me that. Some things are worth dying for. And for blacks to get their true equality, are you willing to die for this? Because if you're not willing to die for this, then you're going to hurt the community more than help. You look at Marcus Garvey. You look at Malcolm X. Died for this. Martin Luther King said, look, we're coming to get our check, which is the mantra for this whole thing. We're coming to get that check. They didn't bother Dr. Martin Luther King until the moment he said he was going, next time we're going to Washington, D.C., we're coming to get our check. That was it, because one of the main last strongholds of white supremacy is that dollar. Because money makes the world move around. That's why they killed King. People talking they killed King because he fought for labor rights. Nah, bro, get out of here with that. No, they killed King because he was talking about going to get money for his people. Well, let me keep going.
He says there's no such thing as systemic inequality. Say
He's
again?
not picking nobody. He's the president.
But why do you think he'd want to do something for the community when he says there's no such thing as systemic inequality?
I don't know what he want to do. I just know what the man said. I know what he said to the country. I've never met Donald Trump. So I don't know what he's going to do. I just know what he said he was going to do. So both of them have a plan. Both of them say they're going to do something. And who knows what's really going to happen after November 3rd. Nobody knows from each side. We're all hoping that candidates keep their campaign promises. So that's just it.
So let's look at it this way. I think that you're right to be skeptical. Let's start with the Democrats, because even though there is a traditional connection between black voters and the Democrats, you could also say you've been let down or forgotten by Democrats in a lot of situations that would have mattered.
Now, let me stop here for a second, because it's very important I say this, okay? During the Jim Crow era, blacks of all races, creed, nationality fought together to change the Jim Crow laws. We haven't finished with that fight yet. One of the things that we have to understand is that there was something that was supposed to be done back in the 1800s that had set black Americans, when I say black Americans, I mean those who came from chattel slavery, descendants of American slaves. It's not that Ice Cube is not for all black people prospering, because he is. If you know his track record, if you knew him and the foundations and the things that he's done, he's for that. But he do understand that that the black descendants of slave is being marched out by this country. Black immigrants, as well as Latino immigrants or even white immigrants, they come to this country and they get a lot of more benefits than those who've been here since slavery. We fought for the Immigration Act. We fought for other people to come into this country to achieve the American dream that we built. We built the American dream, but never got nothing for it. But we fought for laws to get passed where they can come here and prosper off of it. But the government, the federal government, never did anything to allow us to prosper off it. For an example, my uncle, he's Korean. He come down here, and he said, Robert, one of the first things we do, we get 7 years no taxes. 7 years no taxes? Man, I wish they give us to that. We turn 18. We paying taxes day one. But somebody can come to this country and from Korea and get 7 years tax free. There's all kind of programs that was open for him to buy housing. None of that for the original slave blacks. Yet we fought hard to push the Immigration Act and make it available for all people to come to this country and achieve the American dream. Yet, when we try to achieve ourselves, there's a roadblock. And that is why we have to stop at a certain point and say, we need to fix this first. We need to remove these roadblocks concerning those who've been here since day one, remove them, and then move forward. So, like, again, there's a lot of things that people who came from the descendants of slaves in America don't get privy to or don't get access to because we don't get to participate in the very laws that we've been fighting for. But other people do. Friend for Nigeria, they come down a lot of, I mean, not all Nigerians. I got a lot of beautiful Nigerian friends, but there's some Nigerians that look down on American black because they figure they can come here and achieve more than American black. And that's great, brother. But you do understand the reason you can achieve more is because of immigration policies, which is good. We fought for that. But we don't get to participate in the immigration policies. And we have to sit back and think, why is that? Why regular blacks who've been here since day one can't have the same access as people who came here through immigration? That's not fair. So we have to take a side trip and fix that. And we ask everybody to join us in this season because we're always fighting for the rights of everybody else. And Cube has been very instrumental in that with some of his foundations and some things that he invested in to make sure equal right comes to all people. So that's why we're pushing for reparations. Now, understand the reparations is two phases. You got reparations from slavery, then you got reparations from the Jim Crow era. Now, we all know majority of the black people that was here during slavery came through chattel slavery. They didn't come from other countries. You know, even Scottish and Irish, it wasn't easy for them just to come to the United States. We still had to fight for ways to make it easy for them to come. But yet they got a chance to come over here and purchase land like nothing. Black people couldn't even purchase land. We had the freaking sharecrop, which means you're going to give us some land and we try to sell crop. We try to farm and build our own wealth, but you're trying to tell us that we owe you money because we're doing it off of your land. And oftentimes we do all that hard work doing our own cropping, and we're sharing majority of the wealth from our crops with the white landowners. So you got to go way back and study these things and understand where Ice Cube is coming from to really see the big picture of why they're pushing the 8 ounce movement, why they're pushing black first, and why they're pushing the two phase of, let's get the reparations for the American descendants of slaves first, and then we'll come back and then each goal, you got to hit goal 1 and goal 2, goal 3. First goal, we need to go ahead and focus on the American slaves who never got their just due reward. And then after that, we're going to go focus on the people who suffered through the Jim Crow era. And you got people from Jamaica, Haiti, you name it. They came to this country and had to endure the same hell that we went through. But there's phases, though. There are phases. Let me get back on this.
Then you say, all right, so then what makes one side better than the other? That's where you get in trouble, which is, do you really think that Donald Trump can be trusted as much as you could trust Joe Biden?
I don't think I'm not trusting any of them. I'm just going by action. That's all I'm going by. I'm not going by words. I'm not going by rhetoric, not going by media spin, not going by none of that. You know, I'm not on nobody's team. I'm not on Team Blue, not on Team Red.
So then I have that wrong.
I'm an independent person, exactly. And I believe that's what Black people need to do is become independent. And we need to get something for our vote. You know.
Now, let me stop there. Malcolm X, I think one of his parents were from another country, and he's one of our greatest Black leaders, and he gave the same advice. He said, you got to understand there's no difference from the wolf and the fox. Only difference between the fox and he's a little slicker. He looked a little more friendlier. He got that sleek nose. He's cute. Fox, he's ugly. You know he'll eat you up. He said, you better worry more about that. I mean, not fox, but the wolf. He said, you better be more worried about that fox that you're cuddling with. That's what we got in this election, a wolf and a fox. Malcolm X also said that, look, the two most brutal people in this world is the white liberal and the white conservative. The white conservatives, they ain't gonna do nothing for Black people. The most dangerous person, this is Malcolm X, is that white liberal. the one who claimed that he's going to be your friend and grab you and hide his racism behind you, but at the same time, he's going to be passing all kinds of legislation to hinder you. And last but not least, Malcolm X said the only way you're going to get some power is we have to form our own bloc. You have to detach yourself from these parties and have the parties come to you for your support. Do you realize your votes are not to be slutted out? Your votes are to be earned. Your votes are to be earned. If a politician can't concede to your demand, then he don't deserve your vote. It's not about what I need your vote. Can I get your support, bruh? What you gonna do for my community? Well, you ain't what this is what I've done. Well, what you've done for my community. So the whole point of this is Malcolm X said you're only going to be able to demonstrate your full power as black people is when you stop showing allegiance to these parties, whether it's the left, whether it's the right, whether it's blue, or whether it's red. It doesn't matter, Republican or Democrat. The moment you show your allegiance, they have no need to earn anything for you. They got you. Right now, Joe Biden figure, I got the black votes. I don't have to earn it. I don't have to give him a doggone thing. Trump, he's saying, I ain't got the black vote. I would like to have some black votes. I'll do anything to get it. Even if I allowed to crack my behind, I got to at least make it appear that way so I can at least get some of these votes. Both of them are trash. They're not going to do anything for you. So you got to force their hand. And this is what Cuba's talking about.
That may not happen, but it's going to happen.
It's got to happen. It's got to happen. Nothing changes if nothing changes. Look, if I had brought you here to fight with you, you would have known it. What I'm saying is, I think I did get it wrong, and I want to make sure I get it right. So saying you're working with the Trump team is wrong. What you did was, when they asked to talk to you about it, you said yes. If Biden had asked to talk to you about it now, you would have gone to them the same way. It's not about you choosing anything. It's you working with everybody who's got a chance of doing anything.
I'm working with whoever's in power. Yeah, I'll work with both. Whoever's in power, I'm going to work with. So whoever wins, they'll hear from me.
Okay, so I'm glad you came to clear it up. So Ice Cube is not with the Trump campaign. He's just giving his ideas, and anybody who wants to do something with him, fine. Do you believe they are doing anything with your ideas?
Now, before we go any further, you got that? You got that, D.L. Hughley? All you people that's dumping on this man is fighting for black policies. He's fighting for tangibles for black people, and you guys just yapping your mouth on TV, ain't doing nothing. He ain't taking sides, but you're assuming he is. The only way you're going to have to concede, the only way you're going to get the other party to heed to your demand is when one party saying, I'll accept your demand and I'll raise you one. It's just like playing cards. Democratic Party going to sit down and say, Q, we'll talk to you later. We're going to get into that in a few minutes. Later for what? After the election. Bruh. If you don't make some concessions right now, you ain't getting none of my support. What you going to do right now? Now, Trump ain't going to do nothing, but at least going to posture and act like he's going to do something. That's why he came up with that crappy platinum plan, which ain't no different from that crappy Lift Every Voice plan. Two plans that has a black face on it, talking about African American. When you look deep down in the plan, is giving money to everybody else but African Americans, because they moved from African American to people of color. You got to understand, black people, you're not people of color. If you are people of color, so are white people. Why? Because white is a color. Everybody is a people of color. Now, whether you're a minority or not, you're not a minority, black people, especially those who have been here since the foundation of this country. You're not a minority. You're a majority. They just found some way to stifle your growth. And don't you ever think anything different. You are the majority. Let me keep going. I'm sorry.
I believe, they looked at the contract with Black America and they updated their plan. But it's their plan. I have my plan. My plan is broad. It goes beyond the public sector. It goes into the private sector, banks, even the movie industry. So we got to deal with a lot of different, companies, corporations, and even government when it comes to solving this problem. I believe it's a bipartisan problem. I believe it's a bipartisan problem when it comes to the issues, when it comes to blacks in America and what's going on. It's not a Democrat problem. It's not for them to solve. It's not for the Republicans to solve. It's for both of them to solve. They do it when it comes to debt ceiling. They do it when it comes to getting us in wars. They seem to come together when it's something that really affects America. And I don't think nothing affects America more than the situation that Black Americans find ourselves in. This country is coming apart at the seams, and it's not going to come together after January 3rd, no matter who's the president, unless we deal with this wealth gap.
Now, let me stop there before a second, because a lot of people don't understand the situation with the wealth gap. The wealth gap is the killer of Black Americans that came from chattel slavery. If you look at the chart, I've showed you the chart. I really don't have time to go through my computer to find it, but you can look it up about the wealth gap. You look at the wealth gap and you'll see the wealth of Black Americans that been here since slavery. Then you look at the wealth of Nigerians. Then you look at the wealth of Asians. Then you look at the wealth of, you name it. You look at the wealth, and it's a lot of people coming into this country with way more wealth than those who've been here since day one. And they don't have to spend as much money because they get more access to the system than the regular Black person who came from slavery. Now, you take time out and look at that wealth chart. The wealth between the native Black from this country is way bigger than the wealth of whites. We don't even compete with the wealth of Africans coming to this country. See, Africans can take their wealth from another country and be able to use it to gain more wealth because of the different laws written in the Immigration Act that allow them the ability to maximize their wealth, which Black people who were born here from the foundation of this country don't get that same access. But let me keep going. See, he's saying, look, it don't matter. This is a bipartisan thing. Both of y'all screwing us over. Both of y'all are doing whatever y'all can to utilize us for your own gain, but you don't want to give us nothing in return. And that mess stops today. It's not going to start after November the 3rd or whatever. It stops today. You're going to make a demand or you're going to lose a lot of Black votes. Everybody's not going to be mamby-pamby and just give up. Everybody's not going to walk in the fear of Trump. Because I fear being erased from society, especially monetarily, than some old bigot that don't know what he's doing. See, there's a difference between a dumb bigot and a smart bigot. The bottom line is their bigot is one's going to be a little more crafty with their bigotry, and one can't because his bigotry is so loud that he don't have enough common sense to mask it.
The economics, all of it extends from poverty, which is an extension of opportunity, which is an extension of a system that doesn't give equal opportunity, and you see it everywhere. Hiring, education, finance, all of it. So acutely, we've been looking at what happens when policing goes wrong in communities. It doesn't give you concern that the president has handled police violence the way he has in terms of his commitment to work on any of the issues that you think are important?
We've been dealing with police violence in this country from day one. So police violence is just part of our life here. So, the thing is this, once we get some capital, we'll be treated better. This is a capitalistic society.
True.
And if you ain't got no money, you see how people get treated on the streets when they ain't got no money.
Not just money, wealth. Wealth. You got to be able to build up wealth within the community.
Yeah, to put it in greater terms. But, at the bottom line is, dollars bring dignity. And so everybody in America knows that. When you got a little more money, they treat you a little better. So we need to close this wealth gap. You got people, families making $120,000 or worth $120,000, and you got Black families worth $200.
And that's the part we as Black people have to understand. That is where they put our value. Especially those who've been born here since day one. If your mama from the South and Kenya, your roots is in slavery in America. You never got a chance to grow in value. And even when you did get a chance to grow in value, they found some kind of way to chop it down. Even though you bought a house, they found a way to burn it down. Even though you started a business, they found a way to burn it down or to rip it away from you. And a lot of it wasn't on our own fault because we were probably on drugs and prostitution and things like that. A lot of us did that. Were very wealthy, very educated. I mean, you've seen doctors. For an example, the Tulsa, Oklahoma burning, and one of the most famous doctors of all, even white people came to this guy. They burned down his practice and burned him. The moment we got a chance to rise up, they found a way to chop us down. So our value never grew, and we can't wait on them to place that value on us. We got to put that value on ourselves. That's why I owe you no allegiance. You don't value me. You don't even value my freaking vote. I can vote you in the office, and the first thing you do is go help out this person, go help out this person. But when it comes to black people, you want to look at us like we're strange. $200 compared to $100,000. And it ain't going to get no bigger until we do something. Are we going to continue to let this thing happen until we're valued at zero? Now, like I said, those blacks that come from other countries, your value is not the same as ours. They don't look at you the same. I mean, it's just like that. I mean, some cases they do. Let me say this straight. But once they look at your bank account, they don't look at you as the same. I mean, you come in here, man. My Nigerian brothers, they come here. They'll work mean. They'll work some. They'll be janitors. They'll work at Kentucky Fried Chicken or whatever, and get that schooling until they can work in the doctor's office. We try to work in Kentucky Fried Chicken. We can't even get the money to get into school. We don't get the access. We don't get the. It's just so much that's available to because of the Immigration Act, and you get a chance to look it up. To people who are coming to this country versus the people who been here. For an example, even Kamala Harris, you do realize that she got into Howard University based on the Immigration Act, because she didn't come here as she didn't go to Howard as a Black American. She came to Howard. She went to Howard University as an Asian immigrant from Canada, so she got the perks that we could not get. But let me keep going. I'm sorry.
Enormous wealth gap that keeps growing. It's not getting smaller. Do the research, and you'll see this is the problem in America. It's because Black people have no capital. We own half of a point when it comes to all the wealth in America. Half of a point. 13.5% people living off half of a point. We cannot survive in America another 100 years living like this.
The issue is real. The problem is properly identified. They do have access to capital of about $500 billion, but it doesn't say that it would be earmarked within the Trump plan for communities of color.
Now, let me stop you there again. You got to stop this, Cuomo. Cuomo just admitted that there is a problem, and it said $500 billion is available, but once again, it said available to people of color. Once again, Black people, you got to not allow them to put you in that position where you're people of color. People of color is anybody. The category of people of color could mean a white LGBTQ male. They consider that the same category as people of color. A white woman, because they're minorities. A gay white male is considered a minority. A white woman is considered a minority. So the very thing you're fighting for and pushing for, they're going to make it available to everybody, and you're going to end up getting lesser than what you should get just as an exclusive Black agenda. Exclusive. For an example, let me calm down. I went over Biden's Lift Every Voice plan. You probably can find the video on YouTube. And it started off with African Americans. It started off with Black Americans. And then as you got deeper into the detail, as you got into the subcategories of the policy, it went to people of color. And the moment it goes to people of color, it's no longer black exclusive. Now, if you want to do a plan for people of color, do a plan for people of color, but stop using a black face on policies to help other people. Come out with a plan to help other people. Put everybody's face on that. Gay, straight, white, women, it doesn't matter. Put everybody's face on the document. But when you say a plan for African American, a plan for Black America, and you got a face of a black woman hugging up to Joe Biden or Trump hugging up to some black people, the moment you say color in that plan is no longer exclusive, you spit in our face, and shame on you, and everybody should reject that because it's not going to be exclusive for you. The moment it becomes exclusive for everybody, it takes away from the money that you're supposed to get. And they keep using that every single 4 years.
But we'll see what you can get done, and I make you this promise. Not just because I'm a fan, but the issue matters. As you learn and as you see action and reaction or inaction, you have a place on this show to discuss it. That's a guarantee.
I appreciate it, Chris. Yeah, I'll be back to discuss and let you know what I know, what I find out. But I'm gonna give it to you straight up.
It's the only way I
playing
take it.
side.
It doesn't go well any other way on this show. Ice Cube, I wish you the best. Stay healthy. Be well.
All right, man. Take it easy.
All right. We'll be right back.
Now, that was the first segment. And Cuomo didn't give him no problem because Cuomo knew Ice Cube is right. Cuomo knew that when his dad was in charge of New York, the same issue was going on with black people. It was going on with those who've been here since day one, and it was going on with the black immigrants who came here after the Immigration Act. How they were treated like trash, too. But did nothing to deal with the racism that was happening to them just because of their color. In the same way with his brother, who is the governor of New York right now. Now, we're going to go to the second segment, and this is Don Lemon trying to correct Chris Cuomo and let him know don't be played by Ice Cube because he don't know what the hell he's talking about. Let's take a look at this. Yep.
Cube. My game, man. I've been doing you dirty with time all week long, and I
don't have the video. The long video was faulty, so I just got the audio. Okay.
I apologize. I don't mean to disrespect your show. It's my favorite show on the network.
It should be because it's the best one.
I agree.
Other than 360 and Cuomo Primetime and
no, yours is the best. Yours is the best, and yours is the only one with a unicorn.
So, interesting conversation with Cube, but there's a lot more to it than what happened, what you guys talked about.
How so?
Well,
So Don Lemon, a man who don't know nothing about Ice Cube, have not spent no time with Ice Cube, was not there when Ice Cube met with some of the people from the Trump campaign and some of the people of the Biden campaign. This man who was not there gonna tell Chris Cuomo that Ice Cube ain't telling you everything.
Well, there's a reason that African Americans are not drawn to, most African Americans are not drawn to or open to what this administration is doing or saying. One must be careful with, let's put it this way. I had a conversation the other day, and I won't give it away, with Oprah, and she talked about.
Okay, I know y'all gonna be pissed off at me, but whatever. Here you got Don Lemon. You do realize CNN is a left-leaning news organization. They're not down the middle. They're the Fox News of the Democratic Party. So is MSNBC. Don Lemon makes about $30,000 a day. A day. Chris, I think he makes about 20. So you're talking about two millionaires who have not had any experience in the hood in a while. Now, Don Lemon is getting ready to tell us about what Oprah said. Now, a lot of black people has canceled Oprah, not because she's not a fabulous black businesswoman, it's because she has sold out a lot of people and threw a lot of black people on the bus for no reason. She sided with people like Harvey Weinstein, but mocked Bill Clinton. I mean, not Bill Clinton, but Bill Cosby. Michael Jackson been dead almost 10 years now, and she's siding with the accusers because they changed their tune. The same accusers said Mike ain't never did nothing to them, and those other guys lying. After they get broke, they want to use Mike as a tool to get money off the estate, and she going to side with them. She did nothing for Breonna Taylor until the black media started to put out all these signs demanding for a harder investigation. And then she decided to join the party because people were listening to the black media more than her. He's going to tell us what Oprah said to him about this issue concerning pushing for a black agenda.
The power of a platform, right? Just a phone conversation, power of a platform. So if you're someone like Ice Cube and you have the platform that you have, and I don't want to disrespect him, he's very accomplished. I've only met him a few times, nice guy. But one needs to know what one is talking about. One needs to educate oneself on just what is other than the basics about capital, which is important.
So this brother, this rich, wealthy brother, going to tell another rich, wealthy brother, one's a little bougie than the other one. Don Lemon is bougie as they come. We call them boulets, uppity Negroes. Going to tell this brother who got probably more money than Don Lemon, way more money than Don Lemon, who's in tune with the hood, that he don't know what he's talking about. That's what he's basically saying. Like he don't know what he's talking about. Don Lemon, let me keep going. I'm sorry.
About voting, which is important, and so on and so forth. So you have to be careful who you align yourself with. So
he's going to tell Ice Cube that you got to be careful who you align yourself with because this is a voting issue. You doggone right, it's a voting issue. You got your numbed-up politician that always come every 4 years, if not every 2 years, demanding black people to support them and always point the finger that he bad, we good, and you need to stick with us because we ain't going to do you as bad as the other guy. That's like saying, yo, girl, I know we had a bad relationship. And, I used to punch you in the mouth, kick you in the ribs and all that, but Lisa ain't cuss you out. He do all three. Bro, you don't need to get nowhere near anybody that's abusing you and using you. And Don Lemon is trying to keep us on the track. Well, let them use you a little bit more the next 2 years and the next 4 years and the next 2 years because we got to remain in power, which means the Democratic Party. And look, I'm not against, I am against parties, tell you the truth. I'm not a party person. To me, I think they're gangs. And it's all about their side, and it's all about posturing and who get to take over. I don't like Republicans. I don't like Republican leadership. I'm not a fan of Democrats. I don't like most of the Democratic leadership. I've campaigned for Democrats. I was on Obama 2008 campaign. Once he went corporate, I was not going to be on that campaign 2012. But it's still, I still had hope for that brother. I mean, local politicians like Louis Sepulveda, Ruben Diaz Jr., Ruben Diaz Sr. I've campaigned for them. I've done more campaigning than most of your African, most black people in this country for politicians. I passed out flyers. I knocked on doors. I was at many recounts for campaigns for the Democratic Party. I recently was at the recount for Tiffany Caban and Melinda Katz. So I've been inside campaigns. And what I've learned is it's never going to be about you. It's about us keeping our position so we can push laws concerning the direction that the party want to go instead of the direction that needs to go to benefit you. Now, Don Lemon is getting ready to give us some advice on voting strategy that Ice Cube don't know what he's talking about. But let me tell you, because I know as a newsman, as an anchorman, as a reporter, I know a lot about voting.
You have to educate yourself about that. What is happening with the Trump campaign, and they have admitted it, is that they need African-American votes to win. This is just to win.
That ain't just Trump's campaign. That's Biden's campaign and anybody running for office. They need black votes to win. Everybody knows that. That's why everybody always leaning on blacks but don't want to do nothing for blacks. And black people need to realize how powerful they are, how powerful their vote are. And yes, our grandmothers died for you to vote, but they ain't died for you to vote for foolishness. They died for you to vote to gain power. To gain power. Every vote that you do should be for black to gain more power. And I'm not talking about position. I'm talking about everything else, including position. Now,
for them. So what they're doing is trying to pit African Americans against Hispanics or against immigrants by saying that immigrants are taking your jobs. They're trying to appeal to African American men, I should say, men.
Once again, I told you about that. They're going to pit it on the men. Nobody in the ADOS movement, nobody in the B1 movement, nobody that's for a black agenda is hating on other blacks. We're not hating on other cultures. We're just saying that we've always fight for you. We have something that need to be done. We're going for it. We ask that you join us. When you had your issue, for an example, LGBTQ rights, we fought side by side with LGBTQ community. We never asked for anything from them, and we got a lot of black LGBTQs that at the end of the day, they still black. The color will always stand out more than anything. But we fought, and we helped them get some rights. And we'll continue to fight for the rights because you're a human being. You should have the rights of just about everybody else. But when it comes to this particular situation, it's a wealth issue. We've been robbed. This country owes us. And they owe us big. And it's time for them to pay up. Anytime you get in a car accident, you got a right for recompense. You don't just let that go. A semi-truck run over your brother die. Oh, well, whatever, we just got to let it go. No, you better go out there and fight for the compensation for your brother's death, or you're a fool. Our forefathers died. I can go through the list of the heinous things that they've done to our people, from lynching to feeding feeding the little children, a child who have a disability, to alligators, you name it. And they should pay for that? This ain't got nothing to do with after the Immigration Act. This is before the Immigration Act. Work you to the bone till you can't even work no more. And again, like I said, have you dig your own grave, and while you down while you down in the grave, they shoot you and bury you on top of that. I can go on and on of heinous acts that was done to black people. And he want to talk about this foolishness right here.
Know that they cannot get the women, so they're not targeting African American women. They're targeting black.
Trump is targeting everybody. He want black. He got the, where you think Diamond and Silk and all them fools came from? Trump want black women. He want black men. He want to get whatever he can to win. That's the name of the game. Every politician is trying to get some black votes because they know in order to win, they got to get something. Now, understand, black people did not cause Trump to win. White America caused Trump to win. The Democrats not being smart enough to do whatever they can to win the Rust Belt caused Hillary Clinton to lose. Hillary Clinton saying, I'd rather take Tim Kaine over Bernie Sanders, who had majority of the Rust Belt on lock. If she would have put him on the ticket, no matter how old he is, she would have won, and we wouldn't have been in this mess. Winning an election is a game of chess. It is not about popularity. And she was too prideful to have that man on this ticket, push a couple of his policies so she can win what she need to do to win in this election. And Joe Biden is doing the same thing, assuming that people are going to vote for him because they are scared of Trump. Now, let me tell you something. Trump is horrible. Trump is horrible. If Trump loses this election, it's going to be COVID. It's not going to be Joe Biden, because Joe Biden has not done nothing to excite the base and get people out to vote for them. Majority of people voting for Biden is because they're voting against Trump. They fear Trump. They fear what another 4 years of Trump's going to do. They're not excited about what 4 years of Biden going to do. Half the people don't even know what four years of Biden is going to bring, because he don't never talk about it.
Black men immigrants are taking your jobs, and don't you want the money because you need to build wealth and blah, 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 blah. So there is a sort of a too cute by half aspect of what they're doing. There is the money, as you so rightly pointed out, in the Trump plan it is not specifically earmarked for anything. It's not specific.
Certainly not for blacks.
Certainly not for blacks. The black thing, that's another thing. I'll get to that.
Same thing go for Joe Biden Lift Every Voice plan. A lot of that money is not going specifically to blacks. It's going to everybody else but black. And like I said, when you don't have a black exclusive agenda and you include everybody in it, it takes away money from blacks that they are owed. You telling me about a loan to get a home? No, you owe me money. You owe me a home. You burned down my ancestors' home. You owe me the ability to start a business. You burned down my ancestors' business. I can go on and on. You owe that. And you said you were going to pay it up and you never did. Like I said, if a truck kill your brother, for you to sit back there and let that happen and not try to fight for your brother's recompense reward for compensation to go toward a family for that death, then you're a fool.
If you listen to the town hall last night, what Joe Biden said, what he's talking about, he has specifics on how he's going to help the black community, where the money is going to go to, coalitions he's trying to build.
Now, Don Lemon is just lying at the crack of his behind. Because you could pull up the Lift Every Voice plan and see. That's what I tell all my black people. Don't just be taking these politicians' word just because they say it. Pull up the documents. Read it. Study it. Check out the language. And you'll know what money is going where. So Don Lemon is just covering for Joe just to make Trump look bad. I get it, Don. Because you and Trump y'all can't stand each other. Trump hates your guts, you hate his guts. I get it. But you ain't got to cover up for Joe and try to make it seem like his plan is better. And that's the problem I got with a lot of people. Yeah, I know Trump is bad. Trump is horrible. But don't think this other guy is a friend of yours too. Just because Obama tried to give him a makeover. You can't you can put a lipstick on a pig and he's still a pig.
The Trump plan does not have that. So, the black thing. Here's the problem with that. I understand what he's saying about black people and about descendants of slaves. Again, be careful who you align yourself with, because this ADOS, African descendants of slaves, a lot of Russian bots, a lot of bots online.
Now, first of all, the Russian bot thing, we have bots. Hillary Clinton had a corrector record that was designed to undermine the Bernie Sanders supporters. You got bots everywhere. He's going to sit here and say ADOS is a bunch of Russian bots. ADOS. That's a spit in the face to the black chapter of the ADOS in Harlem, the black chapter ADOS in the Bronx. There's ADOS chapters all over this country. ADOS is a real organization with real leadership. And he's going to kind of undermine that black leadership that's building a consensus, that's building a platform, that's building a movement to do true change for black Americans. He's going to crap on them by calling them bots.
Targeting, doing the dirty work of Russia.
And then he's going to say it's coming from Russia. The nerves of this mother. Lord God help me. The nerves of this bougie, elitist person who's trying to help white supremacy keep his power. When I say white supremacy, there's white supremacy in the Democratic Party, there's white supremacy in the Republican Party. That's how they maintain their power. It's a good cop, bad cop relationship, and people are falling for it. Democrats are the good cops, Republicans are the bad cops. Of course, the good cop is going to get more traction with you black people, but at the end of the day, he's still going to lock you up, and he won't lock you up just as bad as the black cop. Now, are there some good cops that really want your best interest? Yeah. There's some Democrats that really have your best interest at heart. I even say there's probably a few Republicans that have your best interest. Not everybody is evil, but I'm talking about the majority. Don Lemon got the nerve to say this, but let's keep going.
For that. And to discriminate, I think, again, it's okay to point out that you're a descendant of slave. Don't get me wrong. That's fine. And some people are not. And that doesn't make one person less or more black than another person.
Nobody said that, Don Lemonhead. We're not trying to make ourselves superior over anybody. Matter of fact, we're starting to see the government hold everybody more superior than us. It's not, we don't think we're superior. We just see a government that will give more toward immigration than the people who've been here for a long time. Why? Because we fought for it. We the one pushed for it. We pushed for all these things that so people can come in this country to make it a real melting pot. But when it came down to us partaking in that stuff, we wasn't able to partake of it. But yet the things that were available for us, you took it away from us. So Don Lemon, you don't you sit there and tell that lie that ADOS is trying to act like they're separate. No, we just trying to get a certain mission done. We've been doing everybody else's mission but ours. Now it's time for us to get our mission done, and we asking everybody else to participate in this with us. It's no different from Black Lives Matter, the organization. Black Lives Matter want everybody to help them with their mission. They got corporations funneling money. They got white, black, you name it, helping them with their mission, and their mission is not to bridge the wealth gap between blacks and whites.
But to discriminate against someone to say, well, we just want this because we are black in this way, I think is discriminatory, because people of color, there's power in numbers.
All right, so let me stop here. I know I keep stopping, but you got to deal with it, okay? You can get off all you want to. I don't care. When it came to the Japanese, when they wanted reparations for being in internment camp, did you say this, Don Lemon, or did your granddaddy or did your great-granddaddy say this? When they was marginalized, which was nowhere near as the descendants of slaves, they demanded reparations and we gave it to them. Was they being elitists? Were they being separatists? Were they acting like, no, they wasn't acting like they were better. You did something wrong to them and they went through a lot of racism and you paid them for it. What about the Jewish people? Not just the Jewish people in the United States, but the Jewish people all over. It wasn't just Germany that paid reparation. The entire world paid reparation to the Jews, including the United States, with our tax dollars. Were we saying that they're separating from everybody else? They're trying to act like they're better than everybody else? They're asking for something? You didn't say that. I can go on and on and on. The different people that has been marginalized and persecuted. And we, including black people, were paying for their reparations. That's why I got a problem with Bernie Sanders telling us, no, you're not going to do reparations. But yet you try to pass a bill for reparations for your people, and they slammed it in the Senate, made you look like a fool. But when black people ask for the reparation, it's a divisive issue. You shouldn't touch that. We should not. No, only when it comes to black people, specifically a certain aspect of black society, you want to deny them of what you owe them. You owe us. It's not us trying to be separate from everybody. This is what you owe us. You don't owe everybody else.
It should be. There's nothing wrong with having a plan for Black America and not just Black Americans who are descendants of slaves. Because
again, Lemonhead, you can have that. We have a plan to get that done. But right now, this country owes descendants of slaves. And just like you paid the Japanese for putting them in internment camp, just like you did the Jewish after the Holocaust, our Holocaust was 100 times the Jewish community. And we still going through hell. And you all of a sudden want to side with white supremacy and sit there and use white supremacy talking point saying that this is being elitist, this is being separatist, this is being racist. Man, if you don't get out of here with this mess, this ain't got nothing to do with that. This country should not slide without paying their just due reward to these slave descendants.
this country, when someone sees me on the street, or when a black person is going for a job or for housing or for a loan, they don't look at, on your application, it does not say if you're a descendant of slaves.
Right.
It just says you're African American or you're black.
Right.
So that should be enough. So
You do realize they do a background check on you, bro. This ain't got nothing to do with trying to get a job, bro. We get that. This ain't got nothing to do with getting a job. This ain't got nothing to do with going into the emergency room. This ain't got nothing to do with that. If it wasn't for those American descendants of slaves fighting for that, we wouldn't be able to get the jobs. We wouldn't be able to get into the hospitals. We'll be working our own menial jobs. We'll be getting crap for money. If it wasn't for these people who fought so hard for everybody else to get equality, but when it's time for us to get the one thing we're not equal in, and that is closing the wealth gap, you sitting right up here trying to make excuse for white people to continue to have the bigger wealth gap and everybody else to continue to have the bigger wealth gap than the descendants of slaves. You're making every excuse. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
I just think that people need to be educated. You have to understand, be cognizant of how you may be.
No, you're just trying to position yourself because you want your team to win. You're scared that this ADOS movement, that black people are starting to make a demand for what they're owed. And don't get me wrong, you owe the immigrants who had to go through the hell of Jim Crow too. We, descendants of American slaves, are not going to let you slide with that too. Because we realize how white society treated Jamaicans. We realize how they treated people who came from Africa, from Haiti, from you name it. We realize how you treated them during the Jim Crow era. But right now, we are not focusing on Jim Crow era right now. We will, but right now, we got to deal with the era of chattel slavery. We got to get the reward, just due reward for those people who've been robbed and pillaged and raped and left for dead. And you don't think that we don't need to bring this up. No, you don't want us to bring this up now in this election, but it's going to be brought up now until it's done, son.
Be used by certain people for a certain effect. And that's it. But there's a whole lot to it. There's a whole lot to why people are upset with Cube. And it's not because he's talking about building capital. And quite frankly, when I heard the name, it reminded me of Newt Gingrich and the contract with America.
Well, I don't think that's a coincidence necessarily.
Yeah.
But that was a huge boost to the Republican Party, both in terms of its determination and its structure.
One more thing I forgot. And also, because they can't get women, they're also trying to, in some way, pit African American men or black men against black women, right? And that's why I hear this talk, in the barbershop all the time. I live uptown. I hear this kind of talk all the time, especially from black men. And I think that people need to know what they're talking about, and they, more importantly, know what they're voting for.
Right.
Okay? All right, go on, sorry.
I would only say I agree with everything. Obviously, I mean, you've helped me greatly in understanding my education of a lot of the racial aspects of current issues. You and a lot of other friends of color that I have, and I think it's important because a lot of times perspective is a big place of where you start in terms of when you read the same document. But when you read the contract with Black America, there's a whole panel.
Now, before I go any further, did he say that this reminded him of Newt Gingrich Contract of America? Do you realize the Newt Gingrich Contract of America was a bipartisan piece of legislation that Bill Clinton was happy to be a part of just to stay from being kicked out of the White House because he was impeached? Big deal is called Contract with America, Contract for Blacks. A contract is a contract, Don. Don't try to make this look like it's a Republican thing. These people make me... These people really, I can't say kill, I can't say sick. These people really irks my nerves trying to demean a movement. They're trying to control it. This is what the white supremacist media does. Like I keep telling you, white supremacy has no bias. They're not biased. They're on both sides. And you see it right in action. Soon as a black movement start to rise up, they're going to trot out a black man to crap on it more than a white man. to stop it more than the white man. They always do it. You're going to see it. They're going to do it with Roland Martin as soon as this video is over with.
Of different things he has in it. I don't think that, I can't say that Ice Cube has an obvious deficiency of perspective about anything. Everything that he lays out in the document is pretty solid in terms of the need. The only thing I will give him in his defense that I didn't understand until I talked to him is, I don't believe that he sees himself as affiliated with the Trump campaign.
No, he said that many times. He said that
anybody who wants to talk.
So why are you trying to make it seem like he said that, Don? Why are you trying to make it seem like he's being conned by the people he affiliated with? This ADOS is Russian bots and all this kind of crap. Why are you saying that? Once again, when it comes to media, you got to understand this, and I learned this through other black leadership, especially when I took some classes at the Murphy Institute on racism in media. In order for them to keep control or keep something from getting out of hand, they're going to have a panel. And the panel of discussion is going to have at least one or two blacks. When y'all go back and look at your local news and stuff like that, and they have a topic of discussion, check out that panel. Especially when it comes to black issues. They're going to have a black person that's going to crap on it. That makes it easier for the white people to crap on it. See, the white people cannot crap on it before the black person because it looks a little racist. But if you got the black person to crap on the issue, it opens the door for the white people to crap on it too, because it's a bipartisan crapping on. That is a white supremacist media trick. And it's designed to get you to say, oh, well, maybe he's right. And in this situation, Don Lemon is not right, but they're trying to make it seem like you need to listen to him because he's black.
Talk to me, I'll talk.
He's gay. He has a husband. None of that matters. That right there matters more than anything.
Talk to him. Biden said I'll do it after. They said they'll do it now, so I gave it to him now.
Yeah, but he said that, and the numerous conversations that.
But that makes a lot of the criticism unfair because a lot of the critics are saying you sided with Trump.
No, but you didn't hear what I just said.
No, not you. I'm saying, but I'm saying he's getting hit with that a lot. That's why one of the reasons I did.
There's nothing wrong with that. Again, I said there is a reason why most black people don't align themselves with the Trump philosophy.
Most black people shouldn't align themselves with anybody's philosophy but their own philosophy. It doesn't mean you don't understand and learn from other cultures. But there's something called a traitor to your race that Malcolm X talked about. And Malcolm X said whenever you side with liberalism and when you side with conservatism, pushed by white people, you are becoming a traitor to your race. You have to push for your own culture, then spread out to other cultures. How are you going to take care of everybody else's house and you're not taking care of your own home?
Right. Obvious reasons.
For obvious reasons. And I think that, listen, quite frankly, Cube, you have to recognize that. I respect him, and if he's listening or watching, that he's trying to ultimately help people, but it is important in the way you do it as well, and with whom you do it. And
ain't nothing wrong with the way he's doing it. He's doing rock solid. I don't agree with 100% of what's in his plan. I think you need to go at least 10 more levels with it. But he's associating with the right people. You figure if you got to associate with the Democrats because they're going to push this to the moon. It's your association. You need to associate with Oprah Winfrey. You need to associate with James Clyburn. You need to associate with Simone Sanders. You need to associate with the members of Black Lives Matter and these other groups because the people who you're dealing with are Russians, bots. There's no name. No, bruh. You sound like the white people who will get mad because some of our politicians were siding with the Black Panthers. That radical group. Them gun-toting black naggers. I say Nagras. I didn't say the N-I-G-G word. N-A-G-G-R.
I just think that you have to be careful about being used because if it's truly...
Who is using Ice Cube? Ice Cube saw a need. He figured nobody was moving on behalf of black people. He saw the manipulation on both sides, and he saw how black people were being used, specifically descendants of slaves are being used over and over and over again to help people get into office. We got this long track record all the way to the 60s of allowing power to use us to help them stay in power, but never giving us power. He saw that, and he decided to act on it alone, and he stayed open for other people to help him. And you telling me he got to watch who he allowed to happen? Do you have any suggestions other than Oprah, Don Lemon? You think you're his daddy? Because he's trying to sound like he's daddy.
It was truly just about helping people. The person who tweeted it out and said, "Oh, thanks for helping," or whatever the Trump representative did, wanted black men to know, because Cube is a rapper and he has a lot of black support, especially from men. Wanted people to know that. And again, it is a too cute by half philosophy. And I think it's quite obvious what's going on, but there you have it.
So that was something to bother with. Now, I'm not going to go through this whole thing. I'm going to go through this part, Roland Martin part one of Roland Martin. Part two is going to be tomorrow night. So Don Lemon is want to give Ice Cube some advice. Watch who you associate with. Let me tell you something, Don. Before you were born, how old Don Lemon? Ice Cube was on the side of fighting against the power when you was a little kid, boy. Don't let the movies, the family movies, fool you. Ice Cube knows what goes on in the hood. He lived it all his life in Compton, in South Central, LA. He's seen the struggles his people come through. And just because he got a little money, and just because he got his own company, don't mean he don't. Now, like I said, I think Ice Cube contract for Black America. See, I had the contract of Black America, but I didn't know how to do nothing with it. Then I changed it to the People's Manifesto. But I didn't know how to rally support around it, because I'm just Lil Rob, Bob TV. But Ice Cube has a platform where he always spoke to power. He didn't side with power. He always spoke at power. You, on the other hand, Don Lemon, you always side with power. You work with power. That's why they trot you out to downgrade anything that's black that's going to go against your company's CNN propaganda. If they go against CNN's propaganda or CNN's mission, they're going to trot you out. If there are black people that's doing it, they're going to trot you out to shoot it down. Or they'll trot Roland Martin out to shoot it down. Or Bakari Sellers to shoot it down. Or Sanders to shoot it down. And the same thing goes with Fox News, putting out all these bootleg black people on Fox News trying to kiss Trump behind, Diamond and Silk. Yeah, what's her name? I can't even think of her name right now. You got name just beyond me right now. What's his name, cousin? Dame Dash, Stacey Dash. I can go on and on and on. Candace Owens, Terry Crews, all these people. Now here's Antonio Moore. Antonio Moore is the founder of ADOS, the Russian group that they were talking about. Oh, you got to watch out for those Russian bots. They're Russian bots. Bruh, that brother don't look Russian to me. But listen.
From Tone Talks, I got the wonderful Ice Cube on here. Shout out to LA. We're going to have a great discussion today. You know that ADOS has been pushing politics. At several points, I'm going to share screen and bring up images because we want to have an educated conversation.
Now, before we go into there, and we're almost done, part two is going to be tomorrow. I'm not going to hold you. Antonio Moore and Yvette Carnell started the organization ADOS 101. You can go to the website, check out what they believe in. They've had conferences. They've been speaking on this matter. They're the one that has been pushing the reparation issue and closing the wealth gap through reparations and true equality They've talked to presidential candidates like Marianne Williamson, and you name it. Not a Russian bot, not a Russian group, you liar. They're real deal people that care about black people. And a lot of people in the ADOS movement are immigrants. They're teaming us up with us because they've been educated, Don Lemon, since you're talking about education. They've been educated on the mission of the ADOS movement. They know there's a first phase, and that's to deal with chattel slavery and giving recompense to those who were born from that. And then there's another phase, and that's dealing with the Jim Crow recompense. And that goes not only to American descendants of slaves, but it goes to immigrants that came to this country that were black that had to go through Jim Crow. Now, if you're Asian and you went through that, you gotta deal with Asian, and you gotta come up with your own group. We're only talking about black here. I know y'all hate it, and you may think it's discrimination. No, you come up with your own plan to hit back at the United States. If the United States did you wrong, Asians, you gotta have your group to go demand it. You did it when it came to the Japanese internment camp. You can do it again. And guess what? As usual, we'll probably back you up in that, but we're just asking you to back us up in this. Him and Yvette Carnell started this movement, and it is fastly growing. And you know, there's other people that's involved with this. You got people like Professor Black Truth. You got Tariq Nasheed. You got Jason Black. I can go on and on and on. The people who are a part of pushing reparations to the moon.
And you know that Ice Cube has been pushing his black contract. You know, I myself have my criticisms of it. ADOS LA, shout out to y'all, have connected this, and we submitted some changes to the reparations section along with some addendums to other parts just this weekend that Cube is reviewing. But today, what I wanted to do was talk about not only what Cube is going through today in context of black politics, but what Cube has helped with over the last few weeks that people might not be aware of. One of the things that ADOS, American Descendants of Slavery, sharing the screen just so you guys can get kind of a view. One of the things that I want you guys to get a view of is what ADOS, American Descendants of Slavery, have been working on. We've been working on trying to get that check that Martin Luther King demanded so long ago. And in many ways, what I think is starting to happen is that people don't understand that that's our objective. I feel like for a lot of people, what has happened is while we're trying to get a check for ADOS Black Americans that went through slavery and Jim Crow, other people's agenda is something else entirely. I think Ice Cube in our discussion, because I've only talked to him once other than this, seems to be on the same page. Ice Cube, you want to say something to the audience? Hello or something?
What's up, everybody? I appreciate you tuning in. We have, everybody asks me, have I connected with grassroots groups? And, the answer is yes. And we've actually been able to move the needle, in California, and we want to move the needle nationwide.
Now, I'm going to stop there. A lot of times I stop there because they be trying to copyright strike me if I don't do something different than the original video. All right, so you see the red and black background. That's different than me breaking in to say something. Now, tomorrow we're going to go over Roland Martin's, being tried out by the white media to crap on black movements. And we're going to hear him talk to white media, and you see that routine of them dumping on it, but they need permission from a black man first to dump on it. You're going to see that. And then you're going to see Roland on his own show that's going to trot out Black Lives Matters as an organization that Cube need to side with, that Cube need to learn from them. Cube don't need to learn from nobody. Now, Cube is open to work with people, but Cube have it straight. There's a difference between Black Lives Matters, the movement, and the Black Lives Matters, the organization. Now, Tone and Ice Cube, they believe that this should be strictly a grassroots black movement. We don't want politicians getting involved, like Black Lives Matter. We don't want corporations getting involved, like Black Lives Matter. Don't get me wrong, Black Lives Matter have good policy positioning and a decent agenda, but it ain't going to promote 100% blacks getting their demand met to help lift them up out of this wealth gap. They have some measures that will do that, but the Black Lives Matter platform goes from Black lives to all lives. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that, but we have a specific mission first. The whole point of Black Lives Matter is black people are being targeted. And even though we're fighting for all black lives, this has nothing to do with black lives. This has something to do with black positioning. This has something to do with black wealth. You do the black lives, let us focus on black empowerment through wealth and opportunity. Now, Roland said, look, you need to work with these people. I don't think, I mean, you're all alone. That's pretty much what he said. You have no guidance, and you're out here doing this thing on your own. I'm gonna get you some people that you need to work with, and I want you to know the CBC has done a lot of those things that you've been talking about. Don't bring up the CBC, man. I mean, the CBC don't even let me bring them up. They sell out the corporations more than anybody. They sell out black people more than anybody. It depends on the CBC member. People like James Clyburn, but I'm gonna get off that. Like Ice Cube doesn't have a foundation who he's working with.
And I believe our mission is aligned, and so it's good to have folks in the trenches who have been doing the work every day, and that I can kind of amplify if we whenever need be. So, I think this is how it's supposed to go down.
Yeah.
And, we made connections. We are implementing the things you sent us into the contract with Black America. So this is what we've been looking to do. Meet with people who are experts in these fields and connect the dots. And then from there, push politicians and push people who can make it happen, even in the private sector. So, this is a match made in heaven, so to speak.
Yeah, and look, my thing always is to listen to the people that are on the ground with us. Me and Yvette started ADOS, and we're gonna run this the right way. But if the chapters want to meet with Q, I gotta meet with Q. And the chapters went out and met.
Now you hear that, Don Lemon? This is a legitimate organization based in the United States with chapters in every state. This ain't a Russian bot program, bruh. So stop lying on black people who are trying to get things done for black people. Stop it. I don't even see why people even watch that dude. He's a bootleg for the arm of white supremacy, which is the white media. There's no blacks controlling CNN. There's no blacks controlling Fox. And soon as if you're black, if you go against their agenda, they're gonna get rid of you. Ask Tamron Hall. Ask Melissa House Perry. Ask Roland Martin. The moment Roland started pushing on one black issue, they got rid of his behind. Axe. See, Joy Reid is all in. She gonna kiss white supremacy behind to get that $30,000 a day check too. I don't know. That's a lot of money, boy. You at least think about kissing white behind to get that check, but I ain't kissing no behind.
Met with Q and felt out his vibe and really wanted to connect. So I took the meeting, and I feel like we can move this in the right direction. The first step, of course, is this black contract and taking parts of ADOS 101 as far as reparations and implement it inside of this contract, so those people that get eyes on it at least know we coming for our check. So before we get into the actual, hold on one second. Before we get into the actual I think I'm having. Before we get into the actual discussion, what I want to do is commend Cube on being part of the whole discussion as far as reparations and everything that we did with AB 3121, because I think what happened was AB 3121 led to an awakening that reparations is the ultimate answer because it repairs so much economically and socially.
Now, before we go in there, I want you to read that. California passes landmark law that could grant compensation to slave descendants. Why? Because there's a grassroots effort to push for that money to help close the wealth gap. Now, I do understand how some people feel. Well, this is an issue that's going to cause tension. Well, let it cause tension. It shouldn't. Had no problems giving it to the Japanese. Have no problem giving it to this person. Have no problem giving it to that person. But when it comes to black people demanding what's owed to them, which the government admitted that they owe it to them, started to set out measures to make the payments to us, and then all of a sudden stop. And then on top of that, years after that, you continue to marginalize these black people who came out of that slave after came after Reconstruction. You continue to marginalize them all the way up to Jim Crow, and even then you continue to marginalize them. You allotted out money to pay black people for the compensation of the free labor that America got off them, that built this country, and you don't think you still should pay it? And if somebody holler about you paying that, you need to shut up because it's going to be divisive. I'm not shutting up jack. And then you want to make everything about Trump. This is bigger than Trump. This is the issue we was dealing with before Trump. This is the issue that we're dealing with now that Trump, if Joe Biden's president, we still going to be dealing with these issues. Why do we need to stop talking about it? Because you want somebody to win? You figure somebody's going to lose the election if they take it up? They should lose the election if they don't take it up. Because this right here shows that you really care about black people when you stand on the side of passing landmark laws that could grant compensation to slave descendants. I remember Joe Biden saying this: I shouldn't have to pay for something my granddaddy did. Oh, you don't think he said that? Look it up. It's a video. It's an audio. Bro, it ain't got nothing to do with you. We're not asking the people to pay for it. We're asking the government to pay for it. And the government can come out the crack of their behind for trillions of dollars for the airline industry and the restaurant industry and all that kind. They can come out with trillions of dollars to finally close this thing and finally repent for their sins and make things right with black slave descendants. So it's not being divisive. It's not that we don't share the same likeness and the same positions as other people that came here from this country. It's just that there's certain things this government have not done that they need to do, and they need to do it now. Fix that situation, then we'll go deal with the situation concerning Jim Crow, and then anything else after that where this country marginalized people. This ain't got nothing to do with colored, and this ain't got nothing to do with all people, all lives.
Part of when I look at this discussion, people don't see, what people don't unpack is we're not talking about billions, we're talking about trillions. And we're not talking about a gift, we're talking about a debt. That is a fundamental difference than what is being asked for by any other group. We built America, then we're shut out of America, then built upon by America. And one of the things that I really liked about your plan, despite my criticisms, was the fact that you recognize that truth, the American descendant of slavery part of this thing. Now, of course, there need to be fixes, but one of the things that I do commend you on is what you did in terms of AB 3121. With that, a lot of people don't know in the last few weeks, ADOS here in Los Angeles and in California were able to reach out to you, and you were able to make connections with the governor to push him to, in the direction of probably where he was going already, but push him over the hump to get him to sign that bill. And I just want to say I commend you, regardless of what anybody else thinks, before we get into the discussion about Donald Trump.
Now, I'm going to stop there. We're going to go into the Roland Martin section tomorrow at 11. Okay? It may be part of the Bobby Brown show, may not. Okay? Maybe the Raw Report. But we need to deal with this. Give me a second. This issue is so important. The best time to grab power is when people is in need of your power. In bargaining and negotiations, you have to give up something in order to get something. And for too many years, these parties have been getting free stuff off us. They've been getting free votes off us, but have not given us nothing in return. Giving us a black president is not our reward. Giving us a black VP is not our reward. It's great, but even they can still be puppets of white supremacy. You think the president is the all-powerful one when there's locks on the president that can kind of turn him this direction and that direction. It depends on the person. There's some people when they become president, white supremacy will line up right behind them and give them all the power. That's what we got in this administration. But when it came to the Obama administration, white supremacy wouldn't line up and give them all the power. That's why Obama couldn't do too much of nothing anyway. Even if he wanted to, he wouldn't have been able to do it. He had all the power in 2008, didn't do it. Why? Why didn't Obama, who had the House and the Senate and the presidency, push his policies? Because there's something behind Obama that wasn't going to let him do it, even if he wanted to. But then you got somebody like Trump, he get into power, and things happen just like that. He can write executive order, and the Democrats will help him. The Democrats fast-tracked all these judges. All these people crying about Amy Barrett and getting on the Supreme Court. At the end of the day, majority of the Democrats are going to sit there and endorse her. Resistance my behind. That's why we as black people gotta understand we are our own. We are our own defense. We are our own protection. We have to look out for one another. We have to push for each other. And we have to realize where our strategies are at. And that's why this strategy of black empowerment always starts at recompense for the American descendants of slaves, because they made billions off the backs of slavery and never gave us a reward, never gave us our recompense. Because if they did, we would be, one professor say, far beyond in the wealth gap than the other person. And it's not that we wasn't trying to, it wasn't because of depression and oppression. It's because we were so innovative with the money that we get. That we're so creative in a whole lot of areas. That's why it takes nothing for us. We get a little money. We can build our own towns. We can do our own business. I mean, even in certain places like Black Wall Street, that was all over the country, Durham, Tulsa, and things like that. White people came to us for loans. White came to us to do business. Came to our doctors. Because how innovative we are. Not saying they're not, but a lot of them came to us. Because when everybody else would shut them out, we'll open our doors because we're so hungry to be the friend instead of enemy, which we still are today. We never want to be nobody enemy. We always want to be a friend. But when there's certain things that need to be done, you got to take a stand and say, is this or no? It's time for us to start doing whatever we need to do to bring ourselves up. Because right now, this freely laying down for other people, freely laying down and giving our votes for people who ain't going to do nothing for us. Submitting to this con game of good cop versus bad cop, not doing that, knowing at the end of the day, it's still trying to lock you up. It's still trying to get information off of you to keep you in a position where you can't get out. Robert, you're so cynical. It's not cynical. These are facts. This is truth. There's a historic record behind it. And don't get me wrong, there has been a lot of growth when it comes to black equality. I mean, not black equality, but civil rights. And now we are able to vote. Now we're able to run for office. Now we're able to start our own businesses and things like that, but it's not at the level of white people. I'm going to say this and I'm gone. Not a fan of the Republican Party, never will be. I do have a couple of Republican friends. I do have some Republican leadership that I would support because they're open. They're not closed-minded, contrary to what some Democrats tell you. Not all Republicans are closed-minded. Majority of them are, but not all. But then you got the Democrats who appear to be so open-minded when they're really closed-minded. Do you realize Ayanna Pressley was not pushed by the DCCC? They did not want her to run for office. They tried to tell her not to run. They wanted the Kennedy to take her place. Black woman. If it wasn't for Bernie Sanders, our revolution, willing to give her a platform to run on to help push that platform, she would have never won that race, and she wouldn't be part of the squad today. Same thing with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. They didn't want that Latino running up against that white guy, Joe Crowley, who's second to the throne of Nancy Pelosi. They tried to stop her from running. Same thing with Andrew Gillum. They did not want Andrew Gillum to run for office. They were trying to starve him for funding. Starve him. They wanted Bob Graham's daughter to run. White girl. Same thing with Nina Turner. The moment Nina Turner started going against the Democratic establishment, they starved her to death. And she might run in 2024. I wonder what they're gonna do then. She better not run in that party because it ain't gonna be pretty. I can go on and on and on historically how we think these people are on our side when history shows that down beneath the surface they're not. And here you got Don Lemon, other entertainers, people in the party that's crapping on Ice Cube because he's telling black people the same thing Frederick Douglass told us. Power without a demand concede nothing. If you want power in that political party, if you want power in this country, if you want power anywhere, you got to make a demand. It happens in business. It happens in negotiations when it comes to labor rights. You will never get anything without demanding something first. And once you make that demand, then you bargain. And you bargain fairly. And black people, it's time for you to step out. One of the biggest things you could do, I know you ain't going to do it this election because you're too scared of Trump that you're going to do whatever you can to get him out of office, and I get it. I'm not scared of him, you know. I'm that punk, that louse. You think I'm scared of him? He's a wannabe fascist. They've convinced you in the party that he's a true doof. Brother can't be no fascist. It take brains to be a true fascist. I mean, you can be a fascist, but it take a brain to push fascism all across the country. And the people who side with him, fascists, really? A gun club is fascist? Mussolini's definition of fascism is when the corporate state marry the military state. Trump is a corporatist. Joe Biden is a corporatist. Democratic Party is not a people party, it's a corporatist party. The donors have more sway and power than we the people. Same thing with the Republican Party. So you got two corporate parties. Now, out of the two people running, which one do you believe can merge both parties together the most? See, that's fascism. That's how Hitler did it, and that's how any major fascist government did it. They had so much favor with both sides that when they finally got in office, they were able to merge them together. And they didn't do right things. They did wrong things. I'm done. As a people in this country, it is very important for us to stand for our power. Your power is not within parties. Your power is within each other. Your power is solidifying and securing your not just your culture, but your heritage. Your heritage is first and foremost when it comes to power. So right now, get your heritage together. Second, it's your culture. You get that together. Third is your color. Fourth is your humanity. In order for the descendants of slaves to get their just due reward, the culture, the heritage has to come together and be on one accord. Once that is done, then we can go through the other 3 steps. Heritage, culture, color, and species. Heritage, culture. Anyway, I'm done. Well, thank you for watching this segment. We're going to be back on 11 o'clock p.m. tomorrow talking about the second half of Cube's vision, the contract with Black America, and the metamorphosis that is going to go through. See, the thing is, Ice Cube is just one of the runners in this race. He is not the main runner. There's a difference between a marathon. There's a difference between a relay race. If you're not conditioned to run a marathon, you yourself will fall out before you get halfway through the marathon. Right now, we haven't been conditioned to run a marathon, even though this is a marathon. It's not going to happen overnight. But I do see it as a relay race. We pass the baton to each other to get the win for the entire team. Ice Cube's contract with America is a baton. Professor Black's truth is a baton. Tariq Nasheed is a baton. Boris Watkins is a baton. Sandy Darity. All these are baton. We got our own financial strategist that knows how much that's owed to us. It's trillions. And we already have the plan to implement it. We don't need a study. And right now, because of Ice Cube and Antonio Moore and Yvette Carnell, they're actually writing legislation to get that done. They didn't need Black Lives Matter to get it done, Roland. All they need is their chapters that are growing and growing and growing. And yes, we can use people of high positions and high influence to help us get the job done. But the real players are the grassroots. So when it's time to show up and show out on behalf of Black empowerment, make sure you're there to make it happen. I'm Rob Brown with the Rob Report. Thank you for being on tonight. Talk to you tomorrow at 11 o'clock for part 2. You have a good night. Peace.